always starts the same way. I love that you're still doing content, man. You're consistently making content.
That's the name of my game. I think I've been doing it ever since 2014 when I left JHE. It was kind of like a mission of how much content could I create, and I didn't really know if anybody was reading it or watching it or looking at it, but so far I've been pretty happy with the total output. I counted the other day, and there was like 350 pieces of content that was up on Verlati.com. I thought that's a pretty real number now.
Yeah, you're no slouch in this content creation. No, it's good though, because if someone was to say, "Oh, well, well, what's your experience creating content?" You actually create content, so that's good.
Yeah. Hopefully one of these days I'll kind of figure it out and get into a routine that makes sense. But I kind of dig what we're doing on Eavesdropping. It's a great opportunity for me to kind of pick your brain on some random facts. One of which, so I had a little bit of insomnia, and I was on the interwebs last night watching YouTube videos about just random things. So MKBHD is like this YouTuber that I dig, and he was talking about a Twitter subscription service that is rolled out in Canada and Australia. And I thought, who is a Twitter power user that I know? And immediately you came to mind. So it made me really kind of ask myself the question, like, what could they do that would be worth $10 a month?
I know a little bit about this. I don't know that it's useful. Like?
Yeah, I don't really get it.
No, because forever the debate has been an edit button. Should Twitter offer an edit button? But they have an edit button. It's called delete your tweet. The only time I could see you wanting to edit your tweets is if, you say there instead of there or something. That's embarrassing, right? Then you just delete it and you put it back up. But if it's like you're getting a lot of feedback and people are fighting you online and the trolls are coming, you can always just delete a tweet. Obviously people can screenshot it and it lives forever. I don't really understand. From what I understand of Twitter Blue, their edit feature would be a 30-second window, right?
Yeah, so MKBHD was saying that really the disadvantage from the delete is that he has so many followers that when he sends out a tweet, people automatically start interacting with that. So if you have a couple hundred interactions before you realize that you have a misspelling, then deleting that really kind of hurts your results, hurts the algorithm, because now you're going to post another thing a second time, and are you going to get those couple hundred people to interact again? So I guess, those are some nice problems to have. I certainly don't have it, but I get that. And then his point was in the undo option, it was in a 30-second window. He's like, normally when I make mistakes, it takes somebody pointing it out for me to realize it. It's not in the first 30 seconds that I have a misspelling or something that I want to retract. So he really kind of didn't understand that feature set. And he said he would pay $10 a month without a doubt if it could just be a straight up edit and then in the body of the tweet, basically say this has been edited. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to spell ever. I'm horrible at it. So for me, I think that it doesn't matter if they gave me 5 years. I'm still not going to know the proper spelling of there versus there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple notes on it right now. I don't see it as being something I need in my life. There's all kinds of subscription services. And most people that professionally tweet anyway are using another Twitter service, right? There's all these Twitter third-party platforms to help you keep track of Twitter because it's crazy out there. And there's so much going on at once. So like you need filters and they make these great services that you can use already. I don't know that I would pay Twitter anything. If there was a troll free service, if I could get rid of the people with just the picture of an egg.
Yeah.
I see a lot more of that being their biggest thing to clean up because it's great tool when you're having real conversations with people. And Daryl is talking to Michael and it doesn't have to be blue checks, like you have your, well, I think you have your NFT up as your thing, but at least I know it's like mostly probably a real person. The anonymous part of Twitter is what makes Twitter not work as good as it could, I think.
All right, so let's play a kind of make-a-wish game. If you could add a feature to your favorite social media platform, whatever that is, like what do you wish existed?
Like folders. I wish there was a folder feature where I could save, let's say, I love resharing content. That's one of my favorite parts, kind of curating, if you will. So TikTok has a save feature, right?
Yeah.
But you have to kind of scroll through and like you save stuff and then some stuff. So that works pretty good. But a lot of, and I think Instagram does too, but I'd like just a folder where I can just like send funny tweets so that at the end of the day, I can like kind of go over them again. They don't really have a good way of doing that at the moment.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's good. Yeah.
Would you be
And
willing to pay for
also,
that? Shouldn't that
well,
just
for
be a
later,
basic shouldn't that just be a basic feature of Twitter? Like, can they really come up with a subscription that you're going to be like, yeah, my $5 a month pays for this. This makes sense.
yeah,
I would pay $5 a month or $10 a month if I didn't have so many ads in my feed.
it's yeah. I'm just not. I'm looking at the exact Twitter page. This is from Twitter. What kind of features are included in Twitter Blue? Subscribers get access to bookmark folders. I guess that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yep.
Reader mode and undo tweet option. But if those make the Twitter experience better, let's assume they do, right? Somebody at Twitter had a meeting and decided these are the features that make this better and it's worth money. Why not just give it to everybody so that your product is better? I don't understand. Why would you charge extra? Why not just make that part of your new rollout instead of just waiting to see what Instagram does next and then you come up with your version? I don't get it.
That's why guys like you and I aren't rich. All right. So the second thing I've been dying to ask you, your boyfriend Kanye came out with a partnership with The Gap. Educate me on what in the hell is going on. Why would he associate his brand with The Gap? Like he's a premium service, isn't he? Like premium.
Yeah, how deep down the hole do you want to go?
I want to go, well, I don't know. I'm afraid to say that with you because like you'll get into full Kardashian life, which
no. I mean, he's a fashion designer, right? He's been a fashion designer for years, but Gap is the more important part of this story. Kanye is like the second part of the story. Gap was a considered high-end not street brand, but definitely like clothes to be seen in the 90s. They were a superstar. They were the big brand, and everybody in Europe, all these people, they wanted to dress American casual. It was the way to go. And if you remember, they had logoed hoodies that just said Gap, and their jeans were considered the best, and their jean jackets, and it was like the right price point in time. So, they have a legacy.
Really, the first one that like took that American style, that casual, cool style, but made it affordable. Like that was their shtick, wasn't it?
Yes, and they reigned powerful, right? You couldn't go to any mall worth its salt at a Gap. But then, with fast fashion like H&M and these other stores and Zara, they have definitely lost their footing and sort of their way. And so your choice again, I mean, they've been closing stores left and right. That's another whole problem with retail. But they've aligned themselves with Kanye West, and it's a huge gamble. And it's a huge gamble worth a lot of money on both sides. So I don't know who it's more risky for. Kanye has single-handedly changed the sneaker industry and been successful. And so on that regard, he can move units, but it's not exactly like his brand screams Gap. So are they how much creative control is he going to get? It's said to be a 10-year deal. Oh, wow. It's a 10-year agreement to design and sell clothes, but not shoes.
Okay.
So it's basically like he'll have his own label within the Gap brand. So it's not going to be all Yeezy Gap. He'll have his own little corner, I'm guessing. But the first jacket they put out was a electric blue puffer jacket, $200, sold out everywhere. That's just hype stuff. I don't think that's going to be his whole line. I think you're going to see a lot of athleisure, a lot of sweatshirts. I think it's going to be really interesting to see if he can get people lining up. I was just at a mall recently this week, and people will line up at certain stores as it is now. You'll hear that retail's dead, but I'm sure you've seen it. You live in a mall. You kind of live in a mall. Have you seen people lining up at Gucci and outside some of these stores?
Yeah. My apartment's right over the top of a mall, and I spend way too much time there. And I do see it, but it's really strange for me to see that brand with the Gap. I mean, I probably haven't stepped foot in Gap in, maybe 5 or 10 years, but I think J. Crew is a little bit more kind of my brand, or, brand that's a little closer to what I would wear. But would you buy this new line? Like, are you going to become a Gap shopper?
I worked at the Gap back in the day, actually. Gap's always,
Got a picture.
yeah, I folded clothes. They have these folding boards. Gap's always been known for quality. It's a quality product. I'm in Chicago now. I haven't seen a Gap. I don't. I'm sure there's a Gap somewhere, but that's rare, right? You would have seen a Gap walking around here 10 years ago. I don't even know where Gap is anymore. Will I go in to see what he's doing? Yeah, probably. Um,
So I think
they're saying this could be worth, they're saying that him personally could be worth 30 billion by the end of the decade.
Oh wow.
I mean, that's astronomical. So I think they're really hoping to get a younger audience, and that's what you have to do in any business, right? If it's sports, if it's fashion, you need the next generation to come in. So without saying how old we are, right? Maybe Gap wasn't for us the last few years, but everyone's kind of dressing all different. Everyone, I think a lot of the ages are all kind of overlapping right now as far as fashion goes, right? People are wearing all different kinds of clothes. It's not like you age out of something. So if he can create a younger audience for Gap, that's a huge win. Because who's going into Gap right now?
Well, I got an email basically talking about the release. I don't know if I signed up for it or what, but it was trying to get me to purchase that puffer jacket online. So I wonder if this is a play to do more online retail, or if it's trying to get people to physically walk into a Gap store. It'd be interesting to see what they end up doing from a build out perspective inside the stores.
Well, the projection, which is why this is such a big story for anybody that's like, I don't care about anything like this. This is what happens when you can align yourself with a powerful celebrity, which we might see more and more of. They're expecting 150 million in additional sales in 2022, and they're expecting it to bring in $1 billion to the Gap brand by 2023. That's huge. That's huge numbers, right? So it's not as simple as a basketball player just putting out a shoe. They're betting big on this fashion house. I don't know if it'll work. I just can't imagine a world where people are lining up on Saturday morning outside of a Gap to grab a hoodie, but I think that's probably what'll happen.
And Kanye's such a loose cannon that the Gap is really hoping that he keeps his stuff together throughout this 10-year period and doesn't implode. Like, that's kind of a risky play, I would think.
Yeah, right. I was just listening to a whole thing about Roseanne this morning. I love Roseanne. That network had their hands full because she was getting more and more aggressive online. Kanye is a very similar kind of character. I still would bet with him. I'd always bet with him. Adidas has made it work. He's capable of creating great things, and he moves the needle. And so I think they've probably felt pretty safe watching what he's done for the Adidas brand. And somebody high up was like, you know what? I'll tell you what. Thank goodness that he came to Adidas, because he just, he finally was able to push Nike back single-handedly. So now I think the Gap brand is like, we're coming after Zara and H&M and everybody else.
I just bought my first pair of Yeezys. My closet is filled with nothing but Jordans and randomly Vans. But on your recommendation, I went and bought my first pair. You think it's going to turn me into a Adidas guy, or maybe not?
Yeah, the only problem with fast fashion is the attention to detail is not there. That's how they're able to put out clothes so fast, right? So you can get a great shirt, but it's not going to last you a long time. What's so great about what Kanye West has brought to Adidas is the attention to detail, right? Things always come out later than they're supposed to. There's always a push on the deadlines, but the attention to details there. So the shoes that you got, I think you're going to be really impressed with the quality. Quality control in sneakers, I think, is a big problem, right? Who knows where these children are making these shoes, in what country? I don't know, but Adidas's quality has stayed there through this whole thing, and I think I credit him and his team. All the shoes they put out have been great. I've never had a pair fall apart. I've never had the materials not be top notch, and so you're going to see with your first high top, the quality is there, and I think that'll be really exciting.
I've been on a roll lately buying Jordan 1s, and I've got a pair on today. They're the Mochas. They look super cool. They're really not comfortable. I keep thinking about like stopping at Walgreens and getting some insoles to put in them. Like, you shouldn't be thinking that when you have a pair of shoes that are, a couple $100. They're expensive enough to be high quality. I don't know why Nike refuses to make them good. I guess they don't have to.
Well, the other thing, the last part of this story that's important is, his shoe business. It's not uncommon for the shoes to go for 250 to 300. That's in the store, and then of course you're familiar with what happens afterwards, right? The resale.
Yeah, guys like you and I pay 5x because we have to have them.
If it's something you want, but I think what this is going to satisfy is a lot of the people that maybe haven't been able to enjoy those sneakers, or haven't won a raffle, or haven't got to have a pair of shoes. And he's done all these different fashion launches, but the prices have been astronomical for his clothes because these were very limited runs in the fashion world. Well, now everybody in America might be able to go and get their hands on something Yeezy if they want it, if they want to get some sweatpants or a sweatshirt. And I think that was always his goal, is to bring the price down. He's been pretty clear about that. He wanted his sneakers to be where everybody could get them, And so I wouldn't be surprised if after his Adidas deal is done, you end up seeing him in one of those footwear stores where they're on every corner, like a Famous Footwear or something like that,
Do you own those like Croc looking Yeezys that he made? Like those?
Can't do it. Can't do it. But I do own Crocs. I like Crocs. Have you had a pair of Crocs?
I used to have a pair of Crocs. I would put them on to walk the dog in the middle of the night, but they went in the garbage maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm never looking back. I totally agree that they are really comfortable. And if you are taking the dog for a walk at 1 o'clock in the morning and you just need something to slide on your feet, they're perfect. Mm-hmm. Being seen out in public in them, no thanks. No way.
Yeah, I get that. But there's a great example, right? The price
point. You wear yours in public?
No. Right now I have on a pair of gray Birkenstock clogs. These are just, for going down to the mailbox or grabbing coffee. I look at them more like slippers than outing shoes.
Okay.
But they're comfortable. So we'll see. I will tell you this, if you're a stock guy, take a look at the Gap stock, see what's happening, because there was a huge spike when they announced this partnership. And I think it's just going to keep going up.
Interesting. All right. So when COVID first hit and kind of quarantine set in, you and I talked a lot about like, how do we make the most out of the time that we have newly found? So we did that LinkedIn group that created a lot of content. I thought that was awesome. But recently I stumbled upon a comedian that created a Netflix special on his own in his it looked like a detached garage on his property. And it was okay. I sent it to you the other day. Bo Burnham, I think's his name. What did you think of that special?
I think he couldn't have been more relatable to everybody that's been sitting at the house. Anybody creative that's wanted to create content and in the middle of all this. It was dark, man. It was a little dark. I wouldn't say I got tons of laughs out of it, but I appreciated his openness and sharing the struggle of being a performer that suddenly can't perform. I wonder about the people that are in symphonies and the stand-ups, and of course Broadway is set to reopen finally. What did the Broadway professionals do for the last year and a half, 2 years? It's got to be heartbreaking.
I thought that the special that he created was really creative. Like coming up with the idea, writing the songs, doing the bits, the way that he filmed it and edited it, he did a good job. It wasn't my kind of comedy. I'm really kind of not into that like musical thing where he's singing the songs, but I was definitely inspired by like, all right, this dude took the time, made something out of it, and ultimately sold it to Netflix. I mean, pretty impressive feat for a guy working out of his garage.
They'll buy anything over there. No, it was good though. I think it just, the most important part was you and I talk about content a lot and about friends of ours that do content. I think what was really impressive is seeing the amount of equipment needed to do good content. I mean, he was surrounded by wires and machines and gadgets and lights. And obviously you can just have a cell phone and you can just talk into your phone. That's an art form now. People do that very successfully on TikTok. But to do engaging content where the backgrounds change, I mean, there were some really funny visuals. It's a lot of effort, but it looked like he did it all by himself. He recorded an entire special in his house while he lost his mind.
Well, I don't know how he
in front of everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how he didn't lose his mind, but I was impressed by that. But the other thing it kind of showed me is, he did have, a good amount of equipment, but he learned how to, I assume, shoot it himself and edit himself and do the lighting and like, that all takes a lot of time and energy, and people just don't understand how darn hard that is. So that was a huge accomplishment in order to be able to create something out of a wasted space. That's kind of like inspiring for this little office I have here in Charlotte, kind of the same principle, like have a space, how do you not let it go to waste, and how do you try to create content on a regular basis out of it? But, good stuff nevertheless. I think that it should be your next act. I want to see you do stand up. I want to see you do a comedy. So
From right here in my living room?
Yeah. What would it take to make that happen?
Nothing. I could do it just like this, I suppose, right? You just sit here and you just start telling jokes, but you have to figure out where that plays the best. There's so many platforms these days. So do you try to do a blitz on everything, right? You have a little clip on Twitter, a little clip on Instagram, a little TikTok, or do you pick one lane and you go hard? So to just be a Facebook live show that I do every morning, and that's it, right? So if you want it, you find it on Facebook, period. Or do you believe, what do you think? Do you think it's better to kind of diversify? I know you have stuff on LinkedIn. I know you do your Instagram thing. You don't really tweet. You mostly just creep around and like everybody's tweets just to let them know you're there. But I don't see you sharing a lot of your thoughts on Twitter. And then
I don't
Facebook.
know how to write. Like, I don't know how to spell. So that's why I'm not on Twitter, is I'm afraid of my spelling. I know it's atrocious, so I don't want to put a whole bunch out there and people go, damn, this dude's an absolute moron. That's why I like, the other platforms. But you and I have talked about this before, because you wanted to do a kind of a morning show, which I still think is a good idea. You wanted to do a new age morning show where you were maybe on Facebook Live or something like that, doing a daily update.
Maybe I'll just do it from this kitchen. I have coffee every morning. I could do this. What do you think?
What was the guy's name? John Krasinski, who did Some Good News at the beginning of COVID.
Oh yeah, Emily Blunt's husband. See that? That's how I know him. That's Emily Blunt's husband. But yeah, he did. Yeah, he started doing a good news morning show. And of course, within 7 episodes, it got picked up by a network and they ruined it. But before they ruined it, he was doing it bare bones out of his office. And it was hilarious. Yeah, and sometimes you don't need to spend all the money to make something awesome. You just need the energy and the effort.
Yeah, that was really cool. That should have continued in that form. It's a shame that somebody bought it and then didn't make more out of it. But
maybe I should.
I want to see the Daryl Mott live from my kitchen Facebook Live show.
Problem is, I already used my good name, my good title on a different show. You think I could get it back?
What show was that?
I did a show called Caffeine Not Included. I love that name for a morning show.
Yeah,
Caffeine Not Included.
I think you could get it back because the partner that you worked with on that's not doing anything with it. You guys are still friends. Like, hit him up.
That's my friend, right?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to make something out of this. That is a good name. I thought you were talking about your Sunday Money, which you guys stole.
Oh yeah, it's another great name. That's a great name for a podcast. Yeah. Eavesdropping, great name, right? But none of it matters. It's all about the consistency. If you were to do this particular show every morning for half an hour, you're going to get a different kind of audience than if you do it once a week. And that's the thing that I don't think people understand. They have these meetings upon meetings upon meetings, and they say, how do we make this important? You just start and then you keep it consistent. That's it. Anything I've done that's been successful, it was consistency.
Yeah. Well, I know if I'm trying to have consistency on this show, trying to get you up for, noon to record something probably isn't going to happen. So I don't know if morning show's your thing. I'm thinking maybe you're like an afternoon to late afternoon, consistency.
Oh, an afternoon drive.
See? Yep.
Afternoon drive.
Better.
Where have you been traveling, man? You've been anywhere cool?
With me, you never know. So I've been a couple different places since we talked last. I think the last time we talked, I was getting ready to go to Daytona. I did that trip. I went to Wisconsin. I went to Vegas, and I went to San Diego to visit my pop. So those were all good trips. I was really surprised how open Las Vegas is. So I was staying at the Cosmopolitan. I went downstairs and people are bellied up at the slot machines. They're gambling. They're not wearing masks. They're like YOLO. And I was kind of torn, in general. I'm not, I don't feel like I'm a scaredy cat of things, but it was a lot and it was really fast. It was just kind of weird to be around that many people. So I had a good time, but I don't know that I need to spend much. I never liked casinos and I don't like them now.
I was with my girlfriend, I guess yesterday at a restaurant, and we were sitting there. We were outside, but we were at the beach at a restaurant, and this guy coughed, over there.
Did you freak out?
Yeah, well, I gave him a look like, hey, what do you know? And she goes, people can cough. It's okay. People can cough now. And I'm like, I don't know if that I'm ready for people coughing. You can eat your food, but if you cough, you gotta move on,
Wow.
So I'm with you. I don't know. You see what's going on in Europe right now. They're having problems with another variant, and
Yeah.
and I hope that doesn't happen to us, but probably it will. And I just want to be done. We just need a little breather because it's the great reopening. Sports events are back. That's the first start. I don't know that people are cramming the movie theaters yet. I don't think so.
Well, there's no movie to see. Like, it's hard to cram a
Yeah.
movie theater when there's nothing to go see.
Yeah, but then next will be Broadway and symphonies and all and full museums. I was just in Charlotte,
Yeah, I saw
and
you. We bought some
I
shoes.
saw you. Yeah, we saw you. But we went to a restaurant. No one's there. People still aren't filling up some of these restaurants. So I don't know if it's regional or if it's just people are slow to get back. But I will tell you, if anybody listening wants to book a trip, now is the time to start looking because travel is cheap right now.
Where do you think you're going to travel to next? You always do that end of the year kind of Christmas holiday season trip. Are you going to do one this year?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to Europe as quick as we can. I think we're going to try for August right now because Italy and Ireland are dirt cheap to go.
Yep.
So we just want to go back. But again, what's open, what's not open? Are they going through the same thing as us where you go all the way there and you have to wear a mask? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you finding that there's any stores you're going in right now in any of these cities where they're like, sir, do you have a mask? I feel like everyone still has one in their pocket just in case.
Yeah. So San Diego, you definitely had to have a mask to walk from the front door to where you were going to be seated inside a restaurant. Once you were seated, you took the mask off. In Las Vegas, there was, nothing at all. In Milwaukee, there was nothing at all. Now, you're not a cruise ship guy, right? Like, you ever been on a cruise?
Yeah, I went on a cruise one time, but I accidentally booked an old person cruise. I'm not young, but I was young for this cruise, and it was my first one, and I didn't do very well. Apparently, I was told after by my girlfriend that I was a miserable cruiser. I thought I had fun. Now that I look back at it, I'm like, that was a good week. She said I did not like it, so apparently, I'm not a cruise guy. The problem is the food's okay,
Yeah.
and you're just kind of stuck,
I would have to imagine cruises have to be dirt cheap right now. Like, would you get on a cruise ship?
No.
I asked my father that the other day, and he's like, we would cruise tomorrow if we could. And I don't know. I definitely couldn't talk my wife into that one. No doubt. She didn't like cruises before COVID.
She wasn't into it either.
No, I mean, it's like, it's kind of like you say, the entertainment's mediocre, the food's mediocre, the experience is good, bad, or indifferent. It's for the people that like to, I don't know.
Not make decisions. Have all your decisions made for you. This is what you're going to eat. This is what you're going to do for fun.
I like the idea of packing once. You're on the boat and you go to all these great destinations. We went on an Eastern Mediterranean cruise. It was absolutely amazing because it gave me a crash course on Europe, and now I know where I want to go back. Like, I don't need to go to Cannes in France, but I really want to go back to the Amalfi Coast. Like, things like that, I now know.
This is the first I'm hearing that you were in Europe. When was this?
Yeah, it was maybe 5 or so years ago. I've been twice-ish. I went to Spain, and then I took my dad to Genoa, where we are originally from, where my ancestors were from. So, funny story.
Are you a Viking? You're a Viking, aren't you?
No, it's Italian. Come on. So, funny
story,
which is the old man's in charge of like researching where we're going to go. I'm only in charge of getting us there. So I get us there. I find a great little hotel. We're in Genoa. The next morning we wake up, and he's supposed to like bring us to, my great grandparents' home, or like where they grew up and things like this. And he's done zero research. He has done nothing to prepare. He has like a postcard that my great grandmother sent my grandmother. And
so he really doesn't know like where you guys are headed.
He doesn't know anything. So we get to the breakfast in the morning, and he's going to ask the waiter, like, hey, do you know what this address is? And do you know what they wrote? And the lady's like, yeah. it like totally doesn't understand what the deal is. Evidently, this was a letter from my, let's call it great grandfather to my great grandmother, telling her how much fun he had in Rome. And it's a picture of him with the Colosseum behind him. So it's like, none of this helps us in Genoa try to retrace any roots. Like, it is not helpful at all. And he sent the letter to San Francisco. So once again, no help at all. There's no addresses on it that are good. So the old man, after his total attempt at trying for a total of 3 solid minutes, gives up and says, screw it, I guess we're not going to figure this out. He goes back 2 years later for a second attempt with this same level of preparation, this time without me. He's with his new wife. And guess what he found out on his second attempt?
What?
Goose egg. Absolutely nothing. So yeah, we think our ancestors are from Genoa. We actually don't know that because nobody in my family wants to do any research.
Well, I was just looking while you were talking this Italy story. For a week in August with 2 flights in a hotel, under $1,000 a piece.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're ever looking to go, I think you should go. Maybe you can solve this mystery of Genoa.
You do a great job of that. That's something that I've always kind of learned from you and kind of had been inspired by is when the Verlattis go on vacation, we go big and we spend a lot, but we don't have a lot of fun. So we stay at nice hotels and we eat at nice restaurants and we probably drop $10,000 while we're there and we don't have any experience. You do the total opposite of that. You go like as cheap as you can, but still stay in nice places. You eat incredible food because you're off the beaten path and you have great experiences like riding the train and going on these long hikes and like all this cool stuff. Meanwhile, I'm at a resort, like drinking a $30 pina colada going, man, I don't know why we don't go on vacation more often. Because
You know how many NFTs you could buy for $10,000?
Stop it with the NFTs. No, let me just tell you, a CryptoPunk sold last week at Sotheby's. CryptoPunk, $11.8 million. I was right. You were wrong. NFTs are great. It's time for you to say it.
Have you, I can't be the only friend in your life that is trying to talk you off this NFT ledge. Has anybody else came to you and said, okay, I've seen that they're picking up a little more steam in the world. Are more people getting excited about it, or are more people not into it? And also my other question for you that I've been wanting to ask, can you use Bitcoin to buy NFTs, or is it only Ethereum?
Ethereum is the one that's the most kind of popular right now. There are NFTs that transact with only Bitcoin, and there's some other cryptos that other NFTs trade in. So right now it's just kind of like a mix of everything, but Ethereum is the kind of front runner. So to answer your first question, I am having really good conversations about it. People are starting to understand. I had a great one with one of my former teammates the other day who was like, all right, I understand what they are. Now tell me, like, what makes them special? How would you use them? Why are you into this and not into this? And it was a pretty good conversation. So I think right now it's gone from people thinking they're stupid to people knowing that there's something there. They just don't understand it, and it's going to take time. And the conversations are a lot more healthy than typically what you and I have, where you just tell me my ideas are dumb.
The first problem with it is the name sucks. Non-fungible token.
Yeah, the name sucks.
What? What does that mean?
But
I don't understand.
We talked on our last eavesdropping where you were making fun of me about the Gary V token that I bought. And you said I spent too much money. And I recently got offered 4 times what I paid for it. So 4X, I've only held it for 30 days. I did not sell it. I'm holding because I am holding out for like a 6X. But nevertheless, I'm feeling pretty good about that investment. Now, the crazy thing is I continue to say, and I continue to agree that it is a bubble. So I need to make sure that I don't get greedy and I get out of it before the bubble pops. But the nice thing about that NFT in particular is it is an access pass to a 3-year conference. So I want to go to the first year of the conference regardless. Then after year 1, I'll decide if I want to hold it for additional years.
That's so crazy. I know people are getting into it for sure, and your friend's making money. Is that true?
Yeah. Glenn Booth has been flipping NFTs. So what he's been doing is he's been trying to pay attention to the ones that have a lot of just kind of community scuttlebutt. So when people are excited about him talking, he goes in and he mints them day one. So if he can mint at the bottom, he'll go buy like 10 of them for 0.8 Ethereum. And then he'll turn around a week, 2 weeks later, and he'll sell them for like, 1 Ethereum, 0.5 Ethereum, something like that. He's been making real money just doing this flip. It's not about making a whole bunch at once. It's about, little incremental returns. And he's doing really, really well. So I wish that I could do that. But as I said before, I think I'm a really bad gambler. So I get mad when I buy something. If I were to sell it tomorrow and let's say make $1,000, I'm pissed off that I didn't make $2,000 because if I would have just held it longer. But I did buy, so here's my big win for the week.
Oh, man.
One of my NFTs is that ape. It's called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I think it's cool. I like it. They came out with a merch drop and they released a hat and a shirt. And I just kind of wanted to support the community. So I bought it. I didn't realize that it was like hard to get because they only made 500 of each of these shirts and hats. So I paid $63 for it. Glenn hit me up on text and he was like, hey, look at what that stuff's reselling for on eBay. I was able to sell the shirt and the hat a week later for $1,200. And I never even opened up the box. I literally just got the box from the shipper, put the dude's label on it. It went out. I put $1,200 in my pocket. So that one felt like a win.
All right. But you're going to hold on your other one. You're not going to go ahead and.
No, I'm holding. The other thing that's getting popular right now, I don't know if you were collecting baseball or football cards when you were a kid. Were you into that at all?
Yeah, I had tons of baseball cards somewhere there. I had the Bo Jackson card where he's in shoulder pads with the baseball bat behind his head. Do you remember this card?
Yeah, Bo knows.
Famous card. Yeah, and I had some good cards, but I had a friend, because you're into what your friends are into. He had an entire wall, and he had Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth. Yeah. He had all the old cards that he couldn't play with. Not that you played with cards. They're all in like the glass and they're all on his wall. And I always wonder to this day if he like cashed in or if he still has that wall of old timey cards. But I collected them. I never went to the shows and paid real money for anything. It was more about buying the packs of cards and crossing your fingers that maybe you got some gold.
Well, cards are hot again. I don't know if you've been paying attention. They just so a Tom Brady rookie card just sold, I think it was 2 weeks ago for $2.2 million. Like, can you imagine having a Tom Brady rookie card and like it's in the glass and like it's tucked under your bed and 15 years later, I don't know how old the dude is. I know he's old. Like you're able to make $2.2 million on a trading card. That's incredible.
Yeah. Incredible. It's pretty crazy. But you do know it's going to bubble burst, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Did you have Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah, I had Garbage Pail Kids too. I like collectibles. I'm just not crazy about the digital version because, in our lifetime, do you remember your first digital camera?
I do.
And how big was it? And what was the megapixels? I remember having one around my neck that had like 2.2 megapixels.
Yeah. So when I first went to NASCAR, so when I was at NASCAR, our responsibility was to sell the decals on the front fender, which was crazy because it was like a $15 million program that they trusted 21-year-old me to be responsible for. So what we did is every week at the racetrack, we had to take pictures of the front fender and send it to the sponsors. That way they knew that the team ran their sticker on it. Yeah. And it was a big evolution. When I first got there, we were like using the disposable cameras.
Oh boy.
And you would have to go to like Walgreens on Monday, get them developed and like send the pictures places. We had a book of all the pictures of all the front fenders. It was crazy. And then we evolved into the digital camera and it took like one of those 3.5-inch floppy disks.
Oh yeah. You put a disc in.
Yeah. But the disc only held like 6 pictures, right? So by the time you took both fenders, the left front, the right front fender of all 38 race cars for 3 different series, like you needed to show up to the racetrack with like a box of floppy disks.
A duffel bag.
Yeah, I bet there's a room in Daytona Beach right now just filled with floppy disks that like some intern has to go through and like pull the images off of.
Well, the reason I ask is because that is my intrigue and concern with NFTs. A hard drive now is the size of a deck of cards,
Yeah.
and whereas it used to be like these huge things you could almost not even travel with. And as the technology changes, I just wonder, like a digital, I don't know, encrypted thing, where's that going to be 5 years from now? It's almost impossible to tell, right? The TVs are getting skinnier, the hard drives are getting smaller. Are there going to be a whole nother generation of crypto pirates? They're going to run around the internet stealing crypto art. Maybe someone's going to steal your famous Gary V one from you because they're going to be amazing hackers. I don't know. It makes me nervous.
But don't you like the early editions of things of like, oh, this is what an original, digital camera looked like. Like I've got a video camera on the wall back there. I think it's super cool. Now check this out. So this, which I bought on eBay, is like an OG GoPro. This is GoPro Hero 1, which is absolutely incredible. And I love it. Right. So what I think is interesting.
It's like a transformer, man.
No, dude, it's like, remember those disposable cameras you got at Walgreens? Like, remember that?
Yeah.
I know you remember. Yeah. Like, so the OG things are still cool and they do have value. You just have to believe in them.
I like it. Hey, it's fun that you're willing to try, man. And it'll be really funny when you have the last laugh. Hopefully that works out for you. But I just think that, like all those things and your GoPro camera, from that one to mainstream was a lot of growing pains, right? Before GoPro became mainstream and the size of a pack of gum. They went through a lot of generations of it. I hope the bubble doesn't burst before we get to see the best version of NFTs.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that it's part of the fun going along the journey. I've learned a ton already, like, how to buy, what to buy, transacting on the kind of different second party sites, and it's all good. You got to do something.
But
you got to do something with it. Like you're not buying.
You're safe.
Buying shoes instead.
No, but you're safe. You're ready. You can make your money back, and you're not willing to do it yet. Why? Is it the hope that it'll go higher and higher and higher?
Yeah,
because they have a word for that. That's called gambling.
I know, and I'm a bad gambler. There's a reason that when I went to Vegas, I put $20 in the slot machine. I lost it in a total of like 0.4 seconds. I did max bet. It was gone. I was done. So it's the same thing with these NFTs. Like I've max bet. Let's ride it out. Let's see what happens.
You're not tempted to sell now, knowing you can make your money back 3 times, 4 times?
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll see. You never know. I need to pay rent next
month. Good luck. The other problem I keep seeing about NFTs is that I keep seeing articles saying, oh, it's too late for this one. It's too late for that one. But the next one, they'll say, well, you can't do the kitties and you can't do the punks, but there's a koala bear one now. And if you get in on that, that's really cool. Or
I'm not a sports guy.
I heard Nike's doing NFTs now. Did you hear that?
So I did not, but Charlotte Hornet LaMelo Ball just came out with one last week. I think that there's a small window to buy him. I think it's live for like the next 2 weeks. But what is interesting with his is I think he has 4 different levels of NFT that he's selling. One is like a general core, which is, whatever, you're in a raffle to get autographed items, things like that. But his top tier is tied to his future career earnings and statistics. So he's written into the contract when he makes money, the NFT holder makes money, which I find to be pretty interesting. So he's guaranteed that you're going to have at least $750 worth of returns from that NFT. So that's guaranteed in the contract. Now that is also, I think, 2.5 Ethereum. So $8,000. So you're paying a lot for it. I'm not a buyer of a LaMelo Ball, gold, platinum, whatever the hell he wants to call it. But I do think you're going to see more athletes start to do that in the future, where they're going to basically crowdsource future revenue opportunities. Think race car drivers that can't afford it. We talked about that, I think, in our last one. But race car drivers that can't afford to race are going to create an NFT, and that you're going to be able to be rewarded for their future performance. I think that that's pretty cool.
And I am excited to see what happens in the music space as well. I think music has an opportunity. I think sports has an opportunity. I don't know. Maybe I will surprise you one morning and I'll say, hey, guess what? I
I
bought
can't wait
a
for that day. I can't wait.
digital puppy.
Talking so much smack. All right.
You know, but I'm also seeing real quick, I'm seeing an article right here. The NFT boom has gone bust for now. I mean, so is it that volatile that it's changing? Or are they just saying that the huge ones, the $69 million ones and those so forth, that's done for a little bit?
It's a roller coaster. Are you watching the price of crypto? Right?
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. You got to know it when you get in and make sure you don't get in over your head. Like I don't think that I'm delusional in this. I also don't think that I'm in over my head. They're real. They're going to become more real over time as people get more interested in them. But we can't get hopped up on the kind of Beeple $69 million sale. Like those days aren't going to happen frequently, just like there's only, a handful of paintings that are worth that kind of money. Like it's just, there's not a bunch of them.
So if you had a friend call you, not me, because I'm not going to call you for this, but if you had a friend call you today and say, hey, I got some money burning a hole in my pocket, I want to buy an NFT. As of June 14th, when we're talking on the phone right now, where would you send them today?
A couple different places. So there is a website called Artblocks, ARTBLOCKS, and they have a lot
Writing
of
this down for a friend.
a lot of really cool art projects that I think are interesting. So there's some that are like generative art, I think is what it's called, where the algorithm itself is creating the art piece. So a programmer goes in there and says, this line by this line by this line is going to create this type of pattern. And then the algorithm runs and spits that out. So I think those are cool in general. And then some of these character type things are cool. So I talked the other day about the Punks comic. I think that's cool because it's tied to a physical comic book. They're still minting more of those. I would be a buyer of that. I am a buyer. I would recommend it. And then the Bored Ape Yacht Club. The problem with that is the price has gone up. So I think I paid like 0.5 Ethereum for my ape. And I think right now the floor is like 1.5 Ethereum, which might be a little rich for somebody that's just trying to figure it out day one. But if they've got 10 grand and they want to kind of spread it around in a couple different places, I would definitely buy an ape right now.
This is pretty cool. Well, thanks for the tips on the websites. I'm going to read a little more. I'm not going to commit, but I'm going to keep my ear open, and I appreciate you sharing.
I think you'll like the art. Like you can understand that side. It's not as kind of gimmicky as some of the characters. I'm not trying to talk you into buying a rat or a camel or
wait, there's camels?
Yeah, there's camels. I bought an alien this morning. Like I'm not trying to talk you into that, but I do think that the art pieces are pretty cool.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna keep my eyes open.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you making time. As always, I have a meeting coming up, so I'm gonna have to jump off, but hopefully we'll catch up next week.
Good luck. See you soon.
All right, brother. Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.